Look, I don't think anybody needs me to rehash the Sophie Cunningham story. Obviously, the fever trade for her in the offseason. She has that moment with JC Sheldon in that Sun game, protecting Caitlin Clark or enforcing laying down the law, if you will, that leads to just an explosion in popularity because she came off like such a badass, and obviously because, well, she is a badass.
One split second, one instinctive reaction, and suddenly everything changed for Sophie Cunningham. Some moments in sports are carefully planned. This was not one of them. Sophie Cunningham did not step into that Sun game thinking she was about to redefine her career, ignite a fan movement, or become a symbol of protection in the WNBA. She reacted, pure instinct, raw emotion. And in doing so, she tapped into something fans had been silently begging for all season. When Caitlin Clark took contact and Sophie immediately stepped in, it was not about strategy or reputation. It was about presence, about drawing a line, about saying, without words, this ends here. That single moment with JC Sheldon did more than stop a play. It shifted perception. Fans who had been frustrated, anxious, even angry about how Caitlin Clark was being treated, suddenly saw someone willing to absorb the heat, someone unafraid, someone unapologetic. The reaction was instant and explosive. Clips spread across social media at lightning speed. Comments flooded in, calling her fearless, loyal, a real one. Sophie Cunningham became something bigger than a role player. She became an idea, the enforcer, the protector, the teammate people wanted next to their star. But what made the moment so powerful was not just the physicality. It was timing. Caitlin Clark had become the gravitational center of the league, drawing attention, scrutiny, and sometimes hostility. Fans were desperate for balance. Sophie provided it, not through press conferences or statements, but through action. And just like that, proximity turned into power. Playing alongside Caitlin Clark amplified everything. The jersey sold faster, the name trended harder, the spotlight burned brighter. But this was not accidental fame. Sophie did not just benefit from being nearby. She earned her place in the narrative. That night was not just a highlight. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one where Sophie Cunningham stopped being overlooked and started being watched. Before that moment, Sophie Cunningham existed in a familiar WNBA space. Respected, tough, reliable, but rarely centered in league-wide conversations. Coaches valued her. Teammates trusted her. Fans knew her name, but she was not a headline driver. That changed almost overnight. What made the shift so dramatic was how clearly it exposed a hunger among fans. For years, the league has celebrated skill, efficiency, and composure, but intensity often lived in the background. Sophie brought it front and center, not manufactured, not performative. It felt authentic, and audiences respond to authenticity faster than anything else. Suddenly, every camera lingered a second longer when she checked in. Analysts began reframing her role, not just as a scorer or defender, but as emotional infrastructure. The player who stabilizes chaos, the one who absorbs pressure so others can breathe. In a league adjusting to unprecedented attention, that role became invaluable. Her proximity to Caitlin Clark accelerated everything. Playing next to the most watched rookie in league history is a spotlight multiplier. Every reaction becomes a statement. Every foul becomes a headline. Sophie understood that instinctively. She did not shrink from it. She leaned in. She played harder, talked louder, and defended more aggressively. Critics were quick to push back. Some labeled her reckless. Others accused her of chasing attention. But that criticism missed the point. Sophie was not trying to become famous. She was responding to a moment that demanded presence. In doing so, she became a lightning rod, drawing both praise and backlash away from Clark. And that may be her most important contribution. In a league learning how to protect its biggest stars without dulling their edge, Sophie Cunningham emerged as a pressure valve. Not glamorous, not polite, but necessary. The transformation was not about numbers on a stat sheet. It was about identity. Sophie Cunningham stopped being invisible, and once that happens, there is no going back. Caitlin Clark did not just enter the WNBA, she bent the gravitational field around it. Every game became an event. Every possession felt televised, scrutinized, monetized. With that level of attention comes an invisible cost, pressure that spills onto teammates, coaches, and even opponents. Sophie Cunningham found herself standing closest to that pressure point. When Clark is on the floor, defenses tighten, crowds roar, social media explodes in real time. Teammates are expected to adjust instantly. Missed shots are dissected. Body language becomes evidence. Sophie understood early that the environment required more than basketball skill. It required emotional armor. Someone had to absorb the friction so Clark could play freel. That role is rarely assigned. It is claimed. Sophie claimed it. She talked back to the refs. She met physicality with force. She made herself the villain in hostile arenas. In doing so, she redirected energy away from the rookie star and toward herself. That is not accidental. It is awareness. The Caitlin Clark effect elevated the league, but it also exposed how unprepared many systems were for sudden scale. Sophie became part of the adaptation process, a human buffer between hype and reality. What followed was polarization. Fans did not simply react, they picked sides. Some praised Sophie as fearless, loyal, exactly what the league needed. Others framed her as reckless, unnecessary, even harmful. The speed of that divide revealed something deeper than one player's behavior. The WNBA is in a transition phase, moving from niche respect to mainstream attention. With that shift comes discomfort. New fans bring different expectations. Old fans protect existing culture. Sophie Cunningham became a symbol in that clash. To some, she represented toughness and accountability. To others, she threatened the league's carefully cultivated image. Social media amplified everything. Short clips, stripped of context, spread faster than full games. A single hard foul overshadowed 40 minutes of disciplined play. In that environment, nuance dies quickly. But controversy drives conversation, and conversation drives growth. Whether intentional or not, Sophie became part of the league's visibility engine. Fans arguing means fans watching, and watching, in this moment, matters more than consensus. There is an uncomfortable truth running beneath the discourse. Physicality in men's basketball is often praised as edge, competitiveness, or leadership. In women's basketball, it is more quickly labeled emotional or excessive. Sophie Cunningham collided with that double standard head-on. Her intensity was not new. What changed was the audience size. With more eyes came harsher judgment, often filtered through outdated expectations of how women athletes should express competitiveness. Smile more. React less. Be fierce, but only within invisible boundaries. Sophie ignored those boundaries, and that made people uneasy. Not because she crossed a line, but because she exposed how arbitrary the line was to begin with. The backlash said less about her and more about unresolved discomfort within sports culture. Growth forces confrontation, and Sophie became one of its catalysts. While fans debated online, the locker room told a quieter story. Teammates did not question Sophie's intent. Coaches did not ask her to tone it down. That silence spoke volumes. In professional sports, behavior that truly harms the team is addressed quickly and privately. What Sophie brought was trust. Players knew she would defend them. Coaches knew she would set a tone. In high-pressure environments, certainty is currency. Sophie provided it. Her role was not about control, it was about clarity. Everyone knew where she stood. That kind of presence stabilizes groups navigating chaos. From the inside, she was not controversial. She was consistent. Media thrives on simplification. Heroes and villains are easier to sell than systems and context. Sophie Cunningham was slotted neatly into a role that made headlines clickable. But reality is rarely that clean. She was not trying to overshadow Caitlin Clark. She was not undermining team chemistry. She was responding to a moment that demanded edge. The league did not suddenly become physical because of Sophie. It became visible. As coverage grows, narratives will lag behind reality. That gap creates friction, but also opportunity. The players who survive it are the ones who understand the difference between perception and purpose. Sophie appears to understand that deeply. The real danger is not Sophie's intensity, it is misinterpreting what it represents. If the league responds by sanding down edges to appease critics, it risks losing authenticity. Fans connect to emotion, conflict, and stakes, not sanitized perfection. This moment is fragile. Growth can stall if leadership mistakes discomfort for failure. Sophie Cunningham is not the problem to solve. She is a signal to interpret. The league must decide whether it wants visibility without friction or growth with it. History suggests only one of those leads forward. For Caitlin Clark, this environment is formative. Learning to play under scrutiny, surrounded by defenders and protectors alike, will shape her career. Sophie's presence may be temporary in terms of minutes or rosters, but its impact is lasting. Clark is seeing, in real time, what leadership costs. She is learning that greatness attracts resistance and that teams survive it together or not at all. That lesson cannot be taught in practice. It has to be lived. This is bigger than one player, one foul, or one season. The WNBA stands at a crossroad between identity and expansion. Sophie Cunningham's rise into controversy is not an accident. It is a symptom of growth. The question now is not whether she went too far. It is whether the league is ready to evolve without flinching. Because moments like this do not disappear. They repeat, louder each time. How the WNBA responds will define not just Sophie Cunningham's legacy, but the future tone of women's basketball itself.
Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more dives into Hollywood's hidden history.